inspected. A lot of times, more often than not, I get people just calling me, say, hey, I need you to come look at something for me, and will you come take a look at my hive? And in that case, I will, no problem at all. And I look for the specific thing that they're wanting me to look for. With a regular inspection for selling bees or moving bees, I'm looking for foul brood is the number one thing I'm looking for. That's the only thing that's going to keep you from being able to move your bees or sell your bees. The overall health of the bees, I always try and take that into consideration too as I'm going through it. I always tell people, especially the beginners, that you always want to have a reason for going into your hive. You don't want to just go into it every other day just because you want to see the queen. You know, you want to have a reason for doing it. And in this case, we're going to consider this just a regular inspection, an annual inspection. Okay. And we're going to go into it. And in order for me to determine the overall health of the colony, I have to see brood. You know, you have to be able to look at some brood. You know, the 2 supers of honey, that would be neat if they're full of honey, of course, but I'm going to have to get down into the brood nest. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. And like I said, if you have any questions, you know, stop me, slow me down.
Okay.
And, do you recommend annual inspections?
If you're in the habit of selling nukes every year, or if you've got more than one location and you're transferring bees back and forth, yeah, I mean, it has to be done. But as far as just, you know, coming down for the heck of it, I can do it, no problem, but it doesn't have to be that way. Okay. It doesn't have to be that way at all. First thing I always do when I come up to a hive is I look at the entrance. Of course, I already gave them a little bit of smoke, so they kind of calmed down or backed off. But they were working in and out pretty good, it looked like, and I'm not seeing an abnormal amount of bees on the ground. Nothing, I'm not seeing bees crawling around on the grass. That's a good sign. No big piles of dead bees.
You run across much foul brood in the west part of the state, Amy?
In the west part, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Like, is it coming, or?
I don't know.
Don't know. Can't tell.
Well, I haven't really done a whole lot of inspections in this area either. I have come across quite a bit of European foul brood this year, and a lot more American foul brood than I expected to find. But, I had one big case just north of Russellville of American foul brood, and a couple little cases.
Now, the American foul brood, is it worse?
Yeah,
it's worse than the European,
worst.
Isn't it?
Yeah, European foul brood can be cleaned up. American foul brood, you don't have a choice but to burn your equipment, kill the bees.
How do you tell the difference between the two? Is it what you observe in the hive, or?
It's what you see in the brood.
Yeah.
And Doug asked me to come down tonight and give a talk, sort of a talk, and I've already had a PowerPoint presentation put together on pests, diseases, and problems with honeybees, and I'll go over all that with the foul brood and stuff. But the biggest difference with when you're looking for it, with American foul brood, it happens after the brood gets capped over. After it's capped over. European foul brood, it happens before the brood gets capped over at a younger stage. So if you're seeing capped brood, it's uncapped brood that's dead. It's not American foul brood. I always look at the bees on the lid, looking at the wings and the way they're moving. Everything looks pretty good. And of course, go slow.
You don't bang on the side of the hive, huh?
Right. You don't want to walk up and kick them if you don't have to.
No, you don't want to drop frames either. They nailed me last week.
The voice of experience.
Yeah. It's well, the voice of education.
And one thing I'll do when I'm working our hives, I try and tell people it's a good idea. Instead of pulling out every frame to look and see what's going on, you can slide the super back or slide the hive body back a little bit where you can tip it up. It's a lot easier to tell from the underneath side what you're looking at. And of course, that's all honey, you know, and most of
Pretty
it's
well all pulled out.
most of it's capped, yeah, and that looks good. But if sometimes when you got a pile of bees on top bars and you're down into the brood nest, you can't really look between these bars very easily, but you can from the bottom.
Look
And
bottom up.
You can tell if it's brood or honey or whatever it is. And during swarm season, if you're looking at making splits or something, you start pulling frames out, you might damage some queen cells.
Oh,
you pop
yeah.
it up like this, and a lot of times you'll see them.
Yeah.
And so you can be wary of where they're at and what to do with it.
Well, it's a lot lighter too. You can use the rest of the hive as leverage, can't you?
Yeah. Don't be stingy with the smoke. Of course, we know this is all, we got a queen excluder here, so that we're not going to find any brood. And this super is quite a bit lighter than that one, but it's still got some weight to it. I would imagine that the honey flow is slowing down here.
We rotated those two.
Yeah, we did.
Originally we had the heavier one on the bottom, but it was
Bottom
like
super?
It wasn't coming up to
Yeah.
the top.
Yeah.
And they
So
weren't.
then we took one frame of honey and put it in the top.
Baited
And
the
it's like
super.
they still wasn't coming up. So
Yeah.
we switched it the last time we were here.
Well, they're working in there. I mean, but
Okay,
right
good.
now we don't have a lot going on, and I can tell by the just the color of this wax here that it's not real white. So that means they're not really in much of a nectar flow right now. If it were white and I was seeing a lot of it on the top bars, you could pull a frame out and shake it a little bit, and nectar would come pouring out of it. But that's dried honey. That's what we're seeing there.
You did a good job of putting it together.
Yeah, they do.
You guys been writing about it.
Thank you.
You're doing a good job.
Okay, now we're down into the brood nest, and I always try and look down into it before I start pulling anything out of it, because I'm looking for brood. I want to see capped brood, and I'd like to see some uncapped brood too. I'm not seeing just a whole lot there,
I think you'll find it down toward the bottom more.
so I'm gonna crack this box.
Nice gentle bees.
Yes, they
I
are.
like gentle bees.
I've got a couple hives of Russians. They're not so gentle.
And again, do the same thing.
Okay.
Tip them up and look.
These are queen cells.
Some older
Older
queen cells.
little drone.
Some drone cells, and you can kind of pull the frames apart and look up in there and see. And I can tell there's a little bit of brood up there. I'm going to go ahead and go down into this bottom box.
No sign of anybody that looks like, the queen is marked.
The queen is marked,
Yeah.
okay. And since you guys have queen excluders, normally I might stack this on top of there, but I'm not going to, because we don't want to take the chance of her going down into that super. So I'm just going to stand it up like that.
Okay.
Doesn't fall over. I could put that queen excluder on there, but
Amen, do you use queen excluders all the time?
we don't. We use them when we're making splits.
I see.
We'll take and let them brood up nice and heavy, and then we'll come in, chase all the bees down with a fume board, and then we'll throw a queen excluder in between, and then let the bees come back
Do you have a
up.
problem with brood up in your honey supers?
Not a huge problem. Sometimes, of course, we do have to go in and move stuff around. And I always start from the outside if I can. A lot of times this very outside frame is stuck really good, so I'll try and go to the second one in, and try and be mindful of the queen. That's of course, and
Pretty sure real easy.
I want everybody to notice that Eamon has no protective clothing on at all.
I've been noticing that, yes.
I've noticed that.
and
Better man than I am.
more often than not, the queen she a lot of times she's on this frame here that I'll pull out.
It's like the second or third from the south, maybe.
And again, I'm looking at the just the bees in general, looking at wings. There's a lot of times that you can spot problems with just looking at their wings and the way they're moving around.
That crooked wing syndrome thing?
The K-wing or the deformed wing syndrome, yeah. But these all
Looking good.
looking pretty good, yeah.
Good bunch of pollen and honey
Big
in there.
yellow
too.
pollen there. They're hauling it
Pretty.
in.
We got some capped brood, some uncapped brood there. There's your queen. She's not marked
Where?
right there.
Yeah,
Yep.
there she
Yeah,
is.
there she is.
Oh, I'll be darned.
So the one you bought, when
So the
she
one I
ran
bought,
down,
they ran
they
around,
got
huh?
her.
So there was a queen in there, and you bought a queen, and they killed her.
Yeah.
And we're wondering now
You know, where is she?
if the queen that's
Almost to the
laying
top of
is
the
a
frame.
worker.
Right there.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
have
yeah.
a worker queen laying here?
No,
Okay. How would we make sure
Oh.
of that?
because you got a queen. Right
Worker.
there.
Okay. All
You
right.
won't have a laying worker with a hive that's got a viable queen.
Okay.
They will kill her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
It's her right there.
All right.
And a laying worker can't lay anything but sterile drone
Uh-huh.
cells. And that's capped worker brood
Okay.
that we're looking at there.
So you said that's normally the frame that the queen is on.
Well,
Just-
I say I try
You-
and start from
you
the
did
outside
good.
to give myself room. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
but a lot of times that she'll be there, especially this time of the year.
okay.
I feel so much better.
I got a feeling you've done this.
Is that her right there? Is
I
that her
feel
right
so
there?
much better.
Yeah, that's her right there.
She generally
I'm
starts
worried about the
working her way
bees.
out. Is that why she's generally on the outside?
Right there.
You can never really tell
Never
where
know
she's
where
going to
she's
be.
gonna be.
No, never. I mean, it's just luck of the draw, really. But
You got a 1 in 10 chance of finding her.
now I really do.
Well,
Once
the first time.
I've found the queen, I don't like to
Keep digging.
really disturb her too much. So I'd kind of like
Got her
to,
whole
if you can, kind of keep your fingers on her, maybe keep an eye on her. I'm gonna take one more frame out here.
You
So-
just checking for the brood?
Yeah, I
Oh,
want to
what's,
get her back in there. I don't want to disturb her any more than I have to. So I'm gonna
Right.
pull, and I know I don't have the queen
What's
here,
that hanging off
Hanging.
the bottom?
Bees.
so I'm gonna
They're
They're
set
hanging on to each other.
this off to the side. Then I'm gonna go ahead and
Hey,
spot her again. I'm gonna put her back in there.
Back in there.
I'll never spot her again. Oh,
Now we can.
you see how quick he picked up on
oh yeah. How long you been doing this?
that? All his life.
3 weeks at least.
Long time.
Now, what's with those hanging? When you put them back in, will they get crushed?
Oh, I'll try and be as
Bit
careful
slower.
as I can.
I've found
Got
from
some drone.
from us going into the hives that they pretty much move out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
If you do
well,
it
you want to
slow.
go slowly, carefully.
Now, is this hive ever been treated for anything?
No.
No.
Okay,
No.
just curious, just a question.
We just put a bottom board in that I smeared Vaseline pretty thick on, and that's all
Yeah,
we've ever
which
done.
We
As a-
Yeah, we haven't
As a
even
group, we've
put
been
the-
trying to use kind of homeopathic stuff like the screen bottom boards and the
Right.
and the
Well, they
oil
look
pans.
good. They look good. I was just curious because I'm not seeing any deformed wing. Not seeing hardly. Saw one that I thought might have had decay wing, but it went back in. And that's good. I'm just going to pull one more frame out. Everything I've seen so far, the brood color, the uncapped brood, the larvae. If it's a pearly white color, that's what you want to see. If it's anything other than that, there might be something going on.
Which would normally be what? Oh, it frames kind of apart.
It could
Somebody
be
didn't put
it
their
could be
stuff in.
a number of different things.
Yeah.
But some viruses sometimes just neglect.
There's not a cat there.
Okay.
Super
I'm not-
seeder.
That's capped brood, right?
Yes.
Now that's a super seeder cell there, isn't it? Up there on the.
This one here.
Yeah.
It's a I call them queen cups.
Queen cups.
You know, it's not uncommon to see those in the hive year round. Doesn't really mean anything unless you start to see eggs in there,
Uh-huh.
or some royal jelly.
Mm-hmm.
That brood pattern's pretty good.
Yeah,
You know, considering that you guys haven't treated for anything. I'm guessing there's probably some mites in here,
Yeah.
which is not anything to fret about.
We were really worried after they swarmed
Mhm.
that, you know, they were queenless, and how long were they queenless? And
But that spottiness, you can attribute that probably to a little bit of a mite load. And you can see they're putting honey in those empty cells too. So
Okay.
it's nothing really to worry about. That's a pretty good brood pattern there.
so, overall, you say we're pretty healthy.
I think you're all right.
Good.
Um,
'Cause I know
just-
after
since we're here, I'll look at one more frame.
after they swarmed and we started looking in here trying to find a queen, we could find no queen. We didn't really look, you know to look, how to look for the, you know, the little queen peanuts that you told us about.
Mm-hmm.
And we found no brood.
Jeff, you're seeing that uncapped brood in there? The little C shape down on the bottom that's pearly white. That's what you want to see.
Yeah.
That hive's got quite a bit of brood in it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty strong.
You see, we attributed that to the new queen that we bought, even though we couldn't find her. But you know, I got to give this lady the credit.
It's the new queen you didn't buy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the longer you get into them, you can start to hear them getting louder and louder.
Yeah,
a
they're
little bit more of a buzz.
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna
They're getting a little angry.
Get a little more
get a little,
agitated.
yeah, a little anxious. So we're gonna.
Well, I would too if somebody ripped my roof off and
Off your house and
looked
tried to
inside
pull
my
the rooms out.
bedroom.
Now what did you say this is over in the court?
That's
the-
drone brood. That's
Oh.
capped drone brood.
So it's capped. There are drone.
Yeah.
But
And,
there's not much of it, is there? I mean,
Not much.
Not considering how much other.
No,
is there.
but this time of the year, you know, we're getting close to being past the swarming season, so it's not uncommon that they'll start kicking drones out before too long. And one thing I like to do, since drones aren't really much use in the hive except for breeding,
Procreation.
this is the best place to look for
Varroa.
Varroa mites.
Yeah.
And if you can dig, and of course the hive tool is not the best tool for this.
You know, if I
A
found-
capping scratcher
Oh,
will work really well. You can just pull them out. But if you go through 5 or 6 of them,
Where will you see those on the larva?
yeah,
The varroa mites?
yeah.
There'd be a
Because-
little,
Very
there'd be a little black
tiny.
dot in there.
Yeah,
tough.
we saw a few of them,
So, yeah, we
Yeah.
saw a few earlier.
and that was why we put in the bottom
I
board
didn't know
with
that. I
the.
want to take a picture of that.
You know,
Not
the
had
neat
much
thing
luck
about
with
this
it, no.
is they'll after we tear these all up, they'll come along and clean all that up. Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they will.
Well, not having much luck
Yeah.
pulling those off.
The reason that's a good place to look is because the mites prefer to be in the drone brood.
Mine's pretty sharp.
It's because the drones take 3 days longer
He's putting it back
to develop
Oh, okay.
than the worker brood does. And so, and the mites have
slow.
figured
and
that
easy.
out somehow.
Gives them more time to eat, huh?
It gives them more time to reproduce.
You can buy frames of drone
Mhm.
tension,
Drone cells.
drone
yeah.
cells.
You can just stick them over in the corner for the trap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another way you can do that is put a shallow or a medium frame in a deep box like this, and on the bottom they'll build it out.
Build
with,
the drone
with
out on the
drone
bottom.
cells, and you can come in after it's capped,
Oh, that would all
Cut
be
it
drone
off.
cells?
Cut it off.
So you can pull that out and just
just
Whack
cut
it off.
wow.
throw it in the freezer and kill them.
Mhm.
And some people will even just throw an empty frame in there.
Oh
Let
yeah.
them fill it in. And a lot of times, you know, if you're going into your hive and you damage some of your comb, they'll build it back, but more often than not, it'll be built back with drone comb.
Yeah. So we need to put this one back on first.
Oh yeah. Dadgummit. Sorry, I have to talk and grab the wrong box.
I've done the same thing. I've gotten down to the bottom and take a frame out, get all the way, get the thing put back together, and I've got
find
to
a frame.
shucks.
have to rebuild the whole thing.
And then stack it and restack it.
And by that time, they are really hacked off.
Really got it checked out.
We've been
Yeah.
doing this how long? And last week or the week before when we were out here, when that one little lady nailed me, the first time I've ever been
Really?
stung, and that was my own fault.
Well, you all
All
should
I
be
did-
proud of the job you're doing on this hive, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
That hive looks good.
It does look
It
good.
looks good and strong.
Well, we can pretend to know what we're doing at times.
Well, obviously, part of it is leaving the bees alone to do what they do best, I guess, but
Yeah.
just
well,
kind of checking on them, and
we,
y'all are doing the job.
we just follow what our mentor, Mr. Lively, instructs us to.
So I'm going to say this hive is pretty healthy.
Put your
Good.
stamp on it.
It's got plenty of food.
Why the screen on this slot there? Mine don't have the screen here on this slot.
Oh, that keeps
On the-
them out
So they
of
won't
the
get up into the
top,
top there.
because sometimes after they put the propolis on the screen, they seal it down pretty tight. So if one
That
strap
still
there,
gives ventilation.
Yeah.
Some people,
Yeah.
So,
some people will leave that open for,
Yeah.
they can throw a box on there and then feed inside
Feed
that
through the
box,
top.
feed through the winter.
Yeah.
You know,
We have a feed top that's at home now, the one with the quart jar
Yeah.
holes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what
the
it says.
nine holer.
Well, now, do you put that
No, this one.
screen on there if you have a plain flat top? Or is
No,
just
Danny.
because that's that kind of top?
Just because of the type of top it is.
'Cause I don't have a top like that. Mine
yeah.
are all flat.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't put a screen on it then.
this box right here, it's capped. Pretty much capped. I mean, there's a couple frames on the very outside.
So it's just because
either
that's
side.
that kind of top?
The
Yes.
foundation wasn't quite drawn out.
Okay.
But as far as being ready, this one is ready. But you want to keep in mind how many bees you have, what the conditions are like. We've still got a ways to go before our fall bloom, and
Yeah.
you don't want to deprive them of so
food.
much food
Yeah.
that they'll have a hard time making it until then. But
Well, with the drought we had last summer, it got up to
Yeah.
115 here for,
Oh Lord.
and
yeah.
over 90 for months at a time. And a lot of beekeepers, including myself, are having to feed.
I'm seeing
just-
some people that are already having to feed.
Really,
Yeah. So I mean, this is in good shape, but
That's
I'd be
interesting.
cautious about
taking too
Taking
much
too
off.
much.
now,
too
yeah.
much from them.
Yeah.
Because they're not really doing much in this box. If they were filling this one up
Yeah.
pretty quick,
I
I'd
was-
say you could go ahead and take this
I
one
was
off.
wondering if we were doing something wrong because it seemed this thing. Okay, this thing is plumb full. The bees got to know. Okay, we're full. So we brought this one in here and stuck it in there on top, figuring they would work from the top down. But the next time we came in and looked at it, they hadn't pulled it out a bit. So like Leslie said, we took one to frame and stuck it up there to kind of help draw them up there.
Do you bottom
they weren't
super,
interested.
Eamon, or
No.
top super?
We top super everything, but it's
Just
pure numbers and a
Yeah.
work reason. I mean, we've
Yeah.
got so many hives that we can't
can't
go
do
in
it.
and-
Yeah.
do that. It
Yeah.
takes too long. But it's a good idea. It's not a bad idea, especially if they're in a good nectar flow. That'll encourage them to draw it out real quick. It takes a lot of energy for them to draw out foundation and for them to build comb.
Oh yeah, make
And
all that wax.
There
yeah.
has to be a good nectar flow for them to be able to do that and to fill it up in a timely manner. And we just haven't had that this
Do you
year.
normally take honey just once a year, or do it in the fall, or?
Well, usually we try and get it twice a year. We try and get a spring crop before we move our bees down south,
Yeah.
and then we'll get another crop in August.
Yeah.
But last year, conditions were so bad, we just moved them down with what honey they had on them, and ended up getting a pretty good honey crop later
Good.
on.
Good.
But by the end of August, everything that we're going to pull is done. Whatever they can do after that is theirs for the,
Yeah.
for the winter.
Well then, when should we expect to be able to come back down here and maybe make another check, see if everybody's all right, and see if they're drawing this out? And,
I wouldn't mess with them for
2 or 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, I mean,
oh, cool.
and
Okay.
there's some things blooming. They're bringing in a lot of pollen. They're brooding up pretty good.
Yeah,
but,
I saw a ton of pollen in there, huh?
Oh yeah,
But there's
beautiful.
not much of a nectar flow. I mean,
Yeah.
if there were a big nectar flow, they'd be working pretty hard in this box right here.
Well,
right
if we
now.
saw the nectar flow, that would be the open comb with dark liquid, that's the nectar, right?
Mhm.
And we
Basically,
see tons of that,
honey
right?
that's
Honey is not
dry.
capped.
Green honey,
Yeah, yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And you'll see a lot of white wax.
Okay.
On
yeah,
top
you mentioned that
bars
earlier.
and-
Okay.
And you know, this one here looks pretty good. I mean, it's freshly capped. They're still bringing it in, but it's not a real strong flow. And I would check them in another 2 or 3 weeks, see what this box looks
Okay,
like, because
if
they
we
got
could-
plenty of room in this box to work.
Right.
She's still got room down here to lay, you know, because this
Yeah.
super didn't have a whole lot of capped brood in it for this box. So the queen's, she's not hurting for room, not showing any signs of swarming. I just let them be for another 2 to
That's
3
good.
weeks.
That's good to know because it seemed to me that there were an awful lot of bees in there, and that they, you know, might take it upon themselves to figure, well, you know, we're kind of busy. Let's swarm and go find something else. But
Yeah, they're not showing signs of it.
okay.
Swarm season's pretty much over anyway,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it is. I mean, later on this fall, you know, they take some swarms. Last year we were catching swarms in October.
Really?
It was ridiculous. But
Yeah, they did swarm.
it was a
here.
weird year last year.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of the master gardeners were out here working. But by the time they could get a hold of us, you know, these guys were already gone. You know.
Lehman, thanks for coming out and inspecting the
This
Yes,
is
that's
that's
Learning
absolutely.
Fields Hive. We appreciate it
basic.
very
Yes, we
much.
do.
basic inspection. You know,
Good work.
one hive's real easy to do. When I got a yard that's full of bees, I can't take that much time really. You know, but
Well, we
Okay,
appreciate
well-
your efforts.
no, my pleasure. My pleasure. I enjoy it.
If we have any kind of questions,